Okay, it's 2:03, so we are going to go ahead and get started. I want to welcome you to the Evergreen Supervisor training, and we're going to start off with a few introductions. If you've attended trainings before, you know that I'm Lisa Karth. I'm with FEI Systems, and behind the scenes, providing technical support, I have Jacqueline Horning. I call her Jack. We also have Leslie Miska with us. Leslie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Lisa. Hi, everybody. Happy Thursday afternoon. Glad that you're here with us. I'm Leslie Miska. I'm Information Services Manager at the Office of Aging and Disability Services. I'm sure many of you have been on other meetings with me, but if you haven't yet, it's nice to meet you. And I just wanted to remind everybody, if you haven't been to one of these training sessions yet, Lisa is going to give us a technical training session, technical overview today. She's going to show us how to navigate in Evergreen and how to find certain tools and forms and be able to create certain things or review things. But she is not the expert on our business process, nor really am I, although I know a bit more than she does about our business process. So I am here to support her. I am going to keep my eye on the Q&A. So if you have questions throughout the presentation, you can certainly use your Q&A and I will respond to those if I am able. And if I am not, then I will certainly take those back and we will incorporate anything that I'm not able to respond to into our business process training sessions later in January. So definitely check out our website for those sessions and get registered for those if you haven't already.
Thank you, Leslie. Okay, let me tell you about our agenda. We are going to do again another introduction to Evergreen. If you've attended one of the other sessions, this is going to be a repeat for you, as will the system overview. And we are going back through it again because there may be some folks on this call who were not in earlier sessions. So we want to make sure everyone has that same background information. We're then going to move into assignments and coverage and talk about how you assign staff to persons and create that accountability. We're going to talk briefly about notifications and then queries. The notifications are alerts that let you know when something's happening within the system. A lot of them might be, this new person has been assigned to your location and you need to assign a staff member. Evergreen tells you this stuff, which is awesome. There are queries that are available, as are reports. The queries are filters about certain actions that have occurred within the system. And then the reports, there are a ton of different reports. Lastly, we're going to talk about next steps. And Leslie, when we're talking about next steps, either then or actually in your final comments, this group is a little bit unique in that you all, are using persons that would have been assigned with a case manager or care coordination or care monitoring course. And would you just talk about that a little bit in conjunction with the packet that folks get about supervisor functions? So we're not going to go there quite yet. We're going to save that for the end. Just a reminder, there are micro-learnings out there that are available, and these touch about every topic just about in the system. If you have not already taken a look at these, please do so. Here you can tell what each thing is about. I'm not going to go through all of them and explain them. Hopefully you've already seen them. But again, for those who have already attended a training, you already know about them. All right, with Zoom, this is being recorded and we are not opening up phone lines, so you're not going to be able to reach out and talk with us. Instead, in your Zoom toolbar, you have a Q&A icon. So you'll click on this and it'll open it up and you can type in a question that'll go to Leslie, and you already heard she's going to do her best to answer it. She's kept up with things pretty well. So I encourage you to certainly leverage that feature. There is also a chat icon. While you can't chat with us, we can chat with you. And it's typically being used by Jack, and she sends links. And in fact, if you open up your link, you can see she has sent you a link to where you can find the micro learnings, make them easily accessible to you. All right. And Evergreen, just a reminder, think of it like an umbrella. There are two sections to it. One is the person record, where a lot of the care management functions happen. And then there's also adult protective services. Now, when we talk about Evergreen, we're talking about person record. So if somebody says Evergreen, that's what they mean. If talking about adult protective services, someone will say adult protective services, APS or APS reports. So I wanted to make sure that you knew which side of the system we're speaking of. Now, there are some really cool things that have been built into Evergreen. I call these oohs and ahs. And the ones I'm mentioning now are really specific to you all as supervisors. There are help features throughout the system, and they're certainly within the help center, training resources, forms, guides, all of that sort of thing. But there's also messages throughout. You can reset your password in Evergreen. There's also the uploading of attachments. And again, if you've attended some of the other trainings, depending on what it was, you may have seen attachments in action multiple times. There are some custom print screens. And so when you see that little print button in a form or elsewhere, click on it so you can see what it will print. Because we didn't touch on that at training. In the training, I wanted to give you something that you could click on and explore outside of training. Now, there are role-specific queries and reports. There's some that are just for you as a supervisor. Throughout Evergreen, all access is role-based. So that means each staff person has access to what they need to be able to do their job. And they don't have any more than that. There are notifications, and these are notifications that go to staff. And the notifications are things that let you know that something's happened with a person, or that action is needed, or a change in status. And so with the notifications, you don't have to track things manually. Evergreen does it for you. You're then also going to be able to assign tasks to your staff members using the My Tasks features. Your tasks are always associated with a person and specific to a given person. But this way, if you have something that you want a staff member to do, you can create a task for it. They then see the task and know they're responsible for it, and you can easily track completion. And then you're also able to set up coverage when someone is out of the office. Jack is getting ready to go to France for a few weeks, or actually she probably wishes she was, but it's an example. And so it's, if she was your employee and your staff member, you would be able to set up coverage, because let's face it, the business cannot wait 3 weeks for Jack to return. There is the life cycle of managed care, and Evergreen addresses every single component to it. And throughout this, as the person goes through this life cycle, there are notifications throughout. And as a supervisor, you can make staff adjustments as needed. There's the intake, the assessment and the reassessment, then the individual support plan, and prior authorization, which is also known as a service authorization. There is the service delivery and the payment. And of course, within the payment, utilization is tracked within Evergreen. I'm really excited about that on your behalf. And then, of course, there's case closure. And throughout all of this is reporting. It's not just available at one particular place. Now, I do want to review how Evergreen is set up, because particularly since you're assigning staff, this is going to help you out with it. At the top is the organization. This is who you work for. So if you're an external user, it's your parent or top level agency, such as Disability Rights Maine. For internal users, it's ODES or state staff. Now, within your organization is a location, and this is where you physically work, or it's where you dispatch from or conduct work under. Some of us still work remotely. If you're with the state, it is your district office or your central office. And a staff member can work under one or more organizations or locations. They just have to have a record under both. Well, that leads us right into the staff. And the staff work for the organization at a given location. And the staff member, one of the key things they do is assist the person. And so your staff is assigned to a person. You know persons as clients or members. In Evergreen, they are called persons. And this is the individual receiving the services and supports. So with accessing Evergreen, it's like so many other applications. Oops, jumped back a little bit. You have your web address or your URL. You then have your username or password. Now down here for username, you could see it says username or email. You cannot use your email. It's got to be your username and the password. And once you click on login, you get this acknowledgement screen to say, yes, I'm an authorized user. You have a password link. Should you forget your password, please, please, please do not change your passwords while working in the sandbox. There's a lot of people using the same login, and if you change the password, you prevent them from accessing the system. People are going to call Leslie. Leslie's going to call me, and I'm just going to reset the password back to what it was. Now then, while you are working in the sandbox, and conceivably once you go back and upon go live, you have to identify the organization, location, and staff member you're working under. This only shows up if a staff member works for 2 or more organizations or 2 or more locations. Okay. Or if they work on behalf of someone else. So if I'm never working on behalf of someone else, I'm never going to have an option down here. So Evergreen knows, but if you do work for multiple organizations or locations, you have to tell Evergreen which organization and location you're working under, because based on that, Evergreen's going to give you access to certain things. So this is the My Dashboard, the homepage. And again, if somebody does not have, if they work for only one organization, one location, and only work on behalf of themselves, when they log in, they're going to come straight here. And I mention that because sometimes people get a little confused and they get concerned if they don't see that context screen. And that's okay. If you don't see it, you're not supposed to. Up at the top, this white bar, I call it a navigation header. You'll hear me say that throughout our training. You will also hear it in the micro learnings. You may have also heard this called the top level persistent menu. And of course, there is the search. Now then, if you are ever searching for your staff member, you have to make sure you click staff members and then type in the staff member's name. If you search for a staff member and don't get the results, that means that you didn't change the category of the search. And I can guarantee that's going to happen for you based on how many times it has happened and continues to happen for me. So if you don't get results you want, take a deep breath, sit back, read your screen. In this instance, it's a person search that was completed. We have the record, so we click on it, and that opens it up. Now, before I show you that person's record, I want to show you how to search for your person, okay? And in this instance, you're going to use the advanced search, which is that magnifying glass with a plus sign in it. And when you open that up, you have the advanced search, and you input the person's first name, and it's going to be case management. Basically, the first name was the title of the initial course, the managed care course that you attended. And then there's the last name of the person, and it's always person with a number sign. And there's times you're going to get a lot more results than you would expect. In that instance, in this last name column, click on that little arrow, and that's going to put things for the most part in numerical order. And then you'll click on the person to access their record. And this immediately accesses their person dashboard, which looks so much like the staff dashboard. And over here, I mentioned tasks. Here is where you can add a task or view the tasks or add a new task. And you can't quite see it, but in this left navigation menu down at the bottom, there's a task icon. You're going to have access to the sandbox. Go in and play. Click different buttons, see what's out there. All right, I just want to again take you through the login process. I'm going to use case management. And the password is password123 with a hashtag. Oh, I can't spell case management. Okay. Here's my acknowledgement screen. And here is where in the sandbox you have to select these. Upon go live, you will only see this if you work for multiple organizations or locations. And so the organization is Evergreen Training, Baxter Foundation, and I'm working on behalf of myself. I'm going to click login. Here is that homepage. Just a reminder that Evergreen logo in the upper left corner returns you to this home page because that navigation header is there wherever you are in the system. It's always visible. Again, for you to search for your person, you're going to click on the magnifying glass with the plus sign in it. You're going to enter your person's first name and their last name. And then click search. Now here, under case management, with searching for case management person 5, you can see down at the bottom, there are 111 results. So I want to see more results on a page. I can use this items per page and make it up to 100. But this is why you're going to use this little arrow and click on this arrow next to the last name field, because this is going to put all of those 111 results in numerical order. Every once in a while, there's something a little off, but for the most part. And here I would just click to open up the record. Now for us, to get us started, I am using and going to access Anne Shirley. So I search for her name, I input it, and here I am in her dashboard. And again, there's my tasks and the add new task button. You have this green ribbon or banner that tells you that you're in Anne's record, and her person ID is assigned by the system. Now, just a reminder, this whole screen, the whole overarching thing, along with the left navigation menu, is the person record. You also have an icon here called record. And so this is where your demographic and personal information is. And I have a lot of categories here. So I am going to click on the toggle to open this up. And I can use this to click on the different sections, or I can scroll up and down. And then there's always the add button there. And you can make edits if you see the pencil icon and your finger turns into your arrow turns into a little pointer finger, or the trash can is delete. And Jenny, I see that you have your hand raised up. If you haven't done so, please go to the Q&A icon on your Zoom toolbar and add your question there. So that gives you a brief overview of the system. And now I want to go in and talk about assignments. Now remember, you'll have access to the sandbox. Go in, explore, try different things. Just remember, you're going to have more access in the sandbox than you will upon go live. And the reason for that is because we had to give people more access so that they could take the person through the workflow and be able to complete all the actions they would complete upon go live. So moving on to assignments. As a supervisor, one of your tasks or responsibilities is to assign a staff member to work with the person. And so within the person record, there is an assignments icon. And this is in this left navigation menu. And when I click on it, it opens the location assignments and the staff assignments tabs. I have 2 tabs. I have to choose which one I want to go into. And here I've bypassed, I have not looked at the location assignment tab because I want to focus on what you work with, and you manage the staff assignments. So here you can see the existing staff assignments. You can also see that you have a new Add New Staff button in the upper left of the screen. If you attended one of the other trainings, you saw multiple forms created, and that Add New Form button was always in the upper left corner of the screen. If you were adding an attachment, it was in the upper left corner. That's where all of your action buttons are. Now, when adding a new staff assignment, you will, in this instance, a staff assignment has already exists, and the ellipsis was clicked over here. I'm looking at the bottom picture. And then there's the transfer. So when that's clicked, that opens up the transfer screen. And here you can see the original assignment type, the original staff member, and then there's the opportunities to select who the person is going to be assigned to, the new staff member, and also the effective date. And we're pointing out the effective date because you can make things effective as of today's date, this moment in time, or you can future date things. And so there's that flexibility to do that. Just know on anything you future date, that new staff member does not have access to the record until that date. So if I don't assign Leslie to a person until December 28th, Leslie will not have access to that person until December 28th. And then you can also unassign staff. You know, perhaps the person no longer needs services, or you're just realigning your staff assignments. In that instance, you can unassign a staff member. They will still show on the staff assignments list because we want to keep that record. However, you'll see that the status is inactive. Staff coverage and the delegations. Basically, you're going to be doing those from another section of the system. You're going to be doing those from my profile. So I'm not going to tell you too much about those right now. Actually, I'm not going to tell you anything about those right now. I'll demonstrate that and then tell you all about it. But I don't want to risk confusing anybody by talking about something before I showed you what we just talked about. All right, so let's come here and do a demonstration. I have my person, Anne Shirley, and we are working with assignments. So in this left navigation menu, when I scroll down, I have my assignments icon. And when I click on this, again, I have two tabs, the location assignments or the staff assignments. And location assignments, I want to show you what it looks like. You won't really have to do these, so I'm not going to spend any time. I just wanted to show you what it looks like. We're going to spend our time in staff assignments because this is where you will work. And right now you can see there's a community case manager, and the staff member's name is Case Management Staff 1. We named our staff based on the course. And then they're inactive. Well, I need to add a new staff member. And so what I'm going to do is come up here to the Add New Staff. And from this, the first thing I have to do is click the assignment type, and I need to identify what kind of assignment type I'm making. And you will want to scroll down. If you don't see what you're trying to do, scroll back up. If you still don't see it, then that means it doesn't make any sense for what you're trying to do. Okay. There's been a lot of testing that's going on in the system. Leslie and her team is going through it up one side and down the other and with a fine tooth comb. Evergreen is not going to let you do anything that doesn't make sense. And if you are like me, and hopefully in this respect you are not, the first time I can't do something in the system where I go to is it's broken. And the reason I do that, I'm working in the system while others are still building it. And in every single instance where I've thought that, it has not been broken. It has been that I have been doing something wrong. Okay. So, should you happen to go there, the system works as it should. It's you who are doing something wrong. That's where you're going to take that deep breath, read your screen. I am going to assign a community case manager today. So I scroll down and I select that assignment type. Now, with this assignment type, the staff members, Evergreen is narrowing my search so that the staff members I see are only community case managers. So again, if I don't see the staff member I'm looking for, that means there's something wrong with this selection up above. I am going to assign, let's do case management staff 2. And I'm going to select the location. Evergreen knows the organization. It's going to limit my selections here. So I select Baxter. Now then, typically, I believe you're going to make your assignments as of today's date, in which case you just click on the date and then click save. There may be instances where you don't want the assignment to take place right away. In that instance, you can click on that date and then click save. But this does mean that case management staff 2 is not going to get a notification until the 29th to tell them that they have been assigned to Anne Shirley. Okay. They're not going to know ahead of time. And they're not going to have access to the person record. So just know if you future date it, there's no access till that time. We are working in today, so we want it to be effective as of today. And I'm going to click save. And here I can see the assignment type. I have the type. The from staff member is blank because this is a brand new staff assignment. I have the new staff member listed, the location. I didn't really call it out, but you can input an expiration on this. And if you select an expiration as of that date, that's the last day that staff member has access to that person. After that, they will not be able to access that record. There are attachments here, should I want to add them, about this staff assignment. And then I have my statuses. And should I want to unassign my staff member, I do that through the status. I'm going to click the back button. And I want to show you now, here is that staff assignment I just did. All right, I want to move to a new person now. I'm going to move to Dwight Tripp. And come down, left navigation menu, assignments. Again, I'm just going to go straight to staff assignment. Now, Dwight is already assigned to case management staff 1, and this is an active assignment. I have the ellipsis. It's always good to click on the ellipsis and see what's there. Well, in this instance, I want to transfer Dwight to a new staff member. And here, throughout Evergreen, there are messages. Please take the time to read those messages. Like this one, for example, is telling you that as soon as this staff assignment is made, once this transfer is done, the current staff member is going to be automatically unassigned. So I have one step I have to do. So here, the assignment type is community case manager. I have to, if I'm transferring, transfer from one assignment type to the other. If I am changing assignment types, I have to unassign and do a new assignment. So community case manager, and I want to change this to staff member. Again, these are the staff members I have access to. Case management staff 3. Upon go live, okay, you're going to see a lot less selections. For us, we gave all of the staff members in the system access to everything. So you will see people who you would not normally see. It's because it's the sandbox, it's training. And I identified the effective date, and I'm just going to make it today. And actually, again, I want to call out that there's that status of active. It's for case management staff 1. So ellipsis, transfer. I'm going to select my new staff member. I'm going to leave the start date as today, and I'm going to click save. Again, here's where I see this. Now, again, a reminder, if I wanted to do another assignment type and I needed case management staff 3 to not have access, I need to unassign them. So I want to go back to my list of staff assignments, and I want to show you case management staff 1 automatically made inactive. Evergreen did that, so I don't have to do it. And on the transfers, notice it happened immediately, and there was no approval needed on it. When you decide to do it, it's done. So again, when you're doing these various actions, the ellipsis is core or essential. And also open it up and check the status. Because just like with the forms, the status takes action on the record. So I covered a number of different situations that might occur. And Leslie, I want to check in with you to see if there's anything you would want to say, or if there's anything you suggest that I re-demonstrate.
I think you've done a good job demonstrating the items that you've covered, Lisa. I don't think you need to demonstrate anything.
Okay.
There were several questions in the Q&A around the coverage feature. This is new concept for us.
That's coming next.
Yeah, so coverage was is a new feature for us. Currently in EIS, if somebody's going to be out on like an extended leave or is out unexpectedly or something like that, it's a pretty hefty lift and a manual effort to get, like, for example, a case manager. If a case manager fell ill unexpectedly and was not going to be in, somebody has to manually go in and assign somebody to all of the persons that individual covers currently. or is assigned to. So it's a pretty manual effort. So this feature is going to be really helpful for us. And it really allows that person, if it's a known period of time that they're going to be out. So like if they're going on vacation, like the example that Lisa gave, that case manager themselves or care coordinator themselves could go in and set up this coverage preemptively to make sure that somebody can cover for them while they're gone. But if they fall ill unexpectedly and then we find out that they're not going to be in for a period of time, the supervisor could actually log into the system on their behalf and set that coverage. So it is a really cool feature that I think once you guys get kind of some of the use case scenarios, you'll really like it and be able to get a lot of use out of it. And I've responded to several questions in the Q&A around it already. So,
Okay, that's awesome. Thank you for that information.
yeah.
So I have not said this at all during any of the sessions. I am going to say this now. If you happen to have pen and paper or your computer with multiple screens, take note on how I get into this because it's different than how you do other staff assignments. Now, the other thing is, if you happen to be multitasking, again, I only say that because I admit I have done it before. I'm going to ask that you stop and watch this process. So when it comes to coverage, I can do this from the home screen. I can really do it from anywhere in the system. You are managing your staff. So up here in this upper right corner, there is a profile picture. And this is essentially representing you. For me, I'm logged in, it's representing me. When I click on this, I have different options. It shows me who I'm logged in as, my profile. Here's where I can change account context if I need to move between organizations and locations. There's offline forms. We're going to give you a smart guide, essentially a reference tool about that, and log out. My profile is where you want to go. Excuse me. And then within my profile, you see your name up here, your organization. This looks like other screens you've seen. Profile, again, with your toggle, you can see the different sections. And it works exactly the same. Now, if there are things that you can edit, you will have your pointer finger and your pencil icon and or the trash can. Well, there's your profile, which you can see the type of information that contains. There is your account. This is your login information. Okay. And this cannot be changed. Okay. I think like very few people can change this, but it has your account ID, which is your username, and then your email address. Staff responsibilities we're going to come back to in just a moment. And then there's attachments again that can be added, as well as my notes. And my notes are the sticky notes, okay? These are not case or progress notes. They can be promoted to progress notes, but they aren't automatically that. Now then, go into the micro-learning on progress notes, forms, and letters. It will tell you all about that. We're going to stay focused on staff assignments and coverage. So, staff responsibilities. That's where I'm coming to because I want to identify what somebody's new responsibility is. So I have the organization roles that would be displayed here. I have the location role and program assignments. Right now, you can make, please don't make changes to this, okay? Because again, lots of people are using the same record, but you may not be able to upon go live. What we want is staff delegations, because I'm delegating someone to provide staff coverage. So staff delegation. To add one, upper left corner with all of my other add actions, add staff delegation. And I need to select the location. And again, Evergreen is going to give me the options that make sense. It's part of those guardrails. If it doesn't make sense, it's not going to be there. I'm going to have a list of all of my staff members here. And I want to delegate, say, staff, that's a C. Let me find my staff member I'm looking for. Case management staff 3. So there's that staff member. I'm going to identify the dates, and I can future date this date range. If, for instance, I happen to be doing this for Jack and she's not leaving until January 10th, I could make this an update January 10th if I wanted to. So that way it's off my to-do list. I'm just leaving it as today's date. I do have to identify an end date on this. And so Jack's going to be away for 3 weeks. And she's basically told me she's going to be back on the 14th. So I'm going to click that date, or I could type it in. And I'm going to click save. Okay. And so now I can see the delegator name who did the delegation. That's me. The delegatee. And I have the dates here. And again, I can make edits to this. And I can edit or delete them. So I delegated to case management staff 2 for these particular dates. Today, I delegated to staff 3 for these dates. The one above had been my practice one. Now you can see the one above that I did on 11/30, it's still active because it ends on 12/30. Well, staff 2 came back early, so I can turn around and I can delete this so it ends early. Or I can go in and change the date. So this is how you do the staff delegations. So location, who you're delegating it to, and click cancel. So I want to move into notifications now. And notifications are essentially alerts. You heard a lot about these in the other training sessions. And these, they're accessible through in the navigation header, the notifications button. There's a little red circle with a number in it that tells how many unread notifications there are. And obviously, this staff member has not been keeping up on their notifications to have 99 of them. Your new notifications are in a bold text. That means it hasn't been read yet. Once you read it, then it's in a regular font. Now, these little box over here on the far left, anytime you see this, this is giving you an option to tell Evergreen you want to take action on this record. And so for this, if I click accept, or excuse me, if I click the box for notification, that's when I get an accept. I can mark it as read, or I can archive it. Now, accept means that you're taking care of it, and it adds your name in the accepted by column. It doesn't do anything else in the system. To mark as read, you can either do that because you know what, this particular staff member has a whole bunch of unread. They just want to go through and mark a lot of them as read. So they're going to check multiple little boxes here. And then click that button and they will all be read. Now, the other way to read it, click on the notification to open it up. And when you click on it, it's going to take you to the applicable section of the system related to that notification. So again, here you can see the accepted by. There's the check mark there. And again, if you forget that and you're like, I know I can do something else, sit back, deep breath, read your screen. If you have to, get up and take a brief walk. The answer will come to you. But click that checkbox because you're telling Evergreen you want to take action. In this instance, these items are going to be accepted. So once that is clicked on, Mary's name is going to show in the accepted by as well as the date. And again, remember, nothing happens in the system. Now, there are notifications that also display on the person dashboard. And the notifications that display on the person dashboard are specific to that person. And the notification would have been sent to a staff member, but it's also available here because it's about the person. And this means that I may see the same notification in the person dashboard tile that I saw in my notifications list. My coworker is not going to see these because I'm logged in, so the notifications I hear are specific to me. Now, the total, you can see the unread messages and then also all the notifications that are listed here. Now then, staff members can identify if they would like to receive email notifications. And these email notifications inform staff they have a notification. That's all it says. Hey, you have a notification. It's not going to contain any other information because, again, we have to protect that PHI and the PII. Privacy is a big concern for us. Now, in order to set this up in the profile, this is the staff profile. There is a section called notifications, and the staff member must, hold on. The staff member must click enable email notifications. If they don't do that, they will not receive email notifications. That has to be done. All right, that takes care of our notifications. Those, as I mentioned, I can't show you those in the system because we've turned it off in the training environment. Excuse me, the sandbox. I'm trying to eliminate old terminology. And no longer use it. In the sandbox, we turned it off because there would be so many notifications going back and forth, and somebody would click on a notification for a person that would not be theirs and act on it, which would mess up somebody else. I have learned from experience to turn off notifications. Be sure you check them out upon go live. They are a great way to keep your work organized. And now I want to move into queries. Now, queries, there's a whole bunch of them, a big variety of them. The access is role-based, so each staff member is only going to see the queries they need to do their job. In the sandbox, you're going to see the whole list. Like notifications, these are accessed from the navigation header. And there is actually a little button up here that says queries. And when you click on that, you can then click on this little forms filter. It's that upside down triangle or arrow. And when you click on that, you can see the list of all of the queries that you have access to, and they're categorized. So the category title is far left justified, and then the queries that fall under that are indented. Now, all of the my caseload, caseload at my organization, and caseload at my location are always at the very top. And here's just a partial list. Here you can see there's additional queries. For example, there's one for reportable events, and you can run a query on a reportable event that has a pending acknowledgement, or one that's currently in progress, or see which ones have rights violations. And again, up at the very top are the caseload queries. Now, once you select the type of query, you have to input your search results. Oops, sorry about that. And your search criteria. And you can fill in a lot of things. You may fill in only a few things. Now, obviously, the less information you have, the more results you're going to get. As you add more search criteria, it's going to further target the results that you get. Once you have that input, then there's going to be a run query button that you click. Green, just like all your other buttons. And then this will show you all of the results. And up at the top, it shows you what the search criteria was. Now, some of these, you're going to get a query that has a lot of results in it. And it's going to be hard to look through all of these in this screen. Well, you can export the results. And there's a number of different, you can export this into an Excel format. And when it's in that Excel spreadsheet, that allows you to manipulate the result. You can filter things as you'd wish. If you wanted to delete certain columns, you could do so. You could basically, what I call slice and dice the report, because people like to do a lot of different things with reports or with the queries. With the Excel spreadsheets, I should say. All right, so let me show you this in action. All right, I'm going to go back to my home screen. Now, queries, as I mentioned, they're in the navigation header. I also have the ellipsis here, and you're going to see this is where I go to for reports. Depending on how high your zoom is, queries would conceivably be in this ellipsis. If your zoom percentage is very high, some of these items in the navigation header are going to be in the ellipsis. If your zoom percentage is lower, you may not even have an ellipsis. So I'm going to click on the query. And like I said, it defaults to my caseload. And I could put information in here. But actually, I want to see something very different. And so I come to this upside down triangle, my filter, forms filter button. And when I click on that, here is the whole long list of reports that I have access to. And as I scroll down, you can see there are a lot of different ones. And again, just a reminder, you only have access to the ones you need access to. I want to pull a query on PCP. So I find that category. Here's person-centered plan, and I'm going to click on that. Here I have my filters that I can use. I can do for a certain person, the person ID, remember that's the number assigned by Evergreen. Names, I could do it by a main care number. I can do it by programs, and I can select just one or multiple, or I can do it by status. And I'm going to actually search by status. The only PCPs I don't want are the ones that are closed. So once I have that selected and all my selections are displayed, I click Run Query. And here are my results. And I have purposely selected PCP because I knew there'd be a lot of them. In actual fact, there are 4,195 PCPs in the training environment. And this is, in the sandbox. And this does not include the closed ones. Now down here at the bottom, I can change my sort so I can see up to 100 items on a page. That's still a lot of records. I also want to point out before I do my export that I have this table icon. It's on the right side of all the columns. And when I click on that and then click column select, I can add or remove different columns. And then I click back on this to collapse it. All right, here's all the results. I need a spreadsheet. So that's where I click on export results. And this is at the top on the right side of the screen. And when I do that, that opens up my file picker. And because Evergreen is automatically going to direct me to save this thing. For me, I have a folder that I want to save these in. And for me, because I pull a lot of queries, as you can see, I am going to date this. Again, you can title it however you'd like. And then I'm going to save this. Again, I'm in Chrome, so this is how it works in Chrome. Up at the very top, to the right of the URL or the web address, I have that down pointing arrow. Those are my downloads. So I can click here on person-centered plan. And let me move this over because it opened on another screen. Here is what that looks like. And this has all of those different PCPs, the whole long list. Evergreen defaults the query to the same width for each column. Well, I want to condense things a little bit more. In this upper left corner, there's that kind of diagonal pointing triangle that's very light. If I put my cursor up there and click, that highlights the entire spreadsheet. And then up in the column, I put my cursor in between two columns and I get this little bar with the arrows pointing each side. That allows me to expand the columns, or in this case, I want to collapse them. Now, all are collapsed to the same size. But you know what? There's still some that I can collapse a little more, and some that I might not want as collapsed. I just want to point out here, there are filters. So I don't know how familiar everyone is with Excel spreadsheets. But you can sort things from A to Z or Z to A. You can also, if you check this select all, it unselects things and you can turn around and see specific information. And that narrows it down even further. And you can do the same for all of the other categories. And to get it all back, I'm just going to come back and click Select All. And so you can do that, manage your spreadsheets however you would like. For me, as somebody learning the system and navigating back and forth and doing a lot of playing, I found the queries very helpful because I wasn't going to touch anybody else's person, but it allowed me to identify where, what status a PCP was in. And if it was the one I was looking for, I could go into the record and take a look at it. One of the things I neglected to mention is that you notice my cursor arrow is a pointing finger. I can click on any one of these records and it will take me to that particular PCP. So pretty cool. All right. I want to move into reports now. And the queries typically identify where a person or form is in the workflow. So that helps you identify next steps. Reports are more data-driven, and they're often used for analytics. So the reports are going to provide data that helps you with management of your team members. Like queries, you can input parameters to target certain results, and they can be exported in different formats. Here you can see the different formats. You can export into a PDF, Excel, or even a Word document. Now, we talked before about completion requirements. Within your your reports, you have the red asterisks for certain fields with the orange bar on the far left of the field border. You have to fill that in. You have to identify that parameter. There are also parameters that you don't have to fill in. The X to the right of each field name can be used to delete or remove what's currently in the field. Now, within all of these, you have the hide parameters button. That's going to make this part go away. You must preview the report, okay, to make sure that it's what you want. Evergreen will not let you just print it. It's going to make you take a look at it. And then, of course, like I mentioned, you can export it. So the access to reports, like everything else, is role-based. And these are just some of the reports that you might find helpful. The to-do report, your PA utilization, PA prior authorization, the note audit report, or coming due PCP and comp assessments. So while you want an overview of all your PCPs, you can run a query for that. If you want to see what's coming due for your PCP or your comp assessment, you're going to go to the report. Now remember, with your PCPs and your comp assessments, Evergreen does send notifications. And this happens to be the to-do report, which I'm going to show you in just a moment. And these are a list of all the outstanding tasks by the assigned case manager. And you can use this report to identify and make sure that you are assigning persons and not overloading one staff member and not giving another staff member enough to do. This can help you balance that all out. So here I had input the various criteria. And once I did that, I had clicked preview, and this is what I saw. So I'm going to show you this in the system right now. So up here, now for me, again, my zoom is very high, so I don't have my reports button in the navigation header. I have to click the ellipsis and then click reports. And here is a whole long list displayed. And again, if you're somebody who likes to see things in one long list, you can change the items per page. So you can scroll up and down. Now you can also search for the report rather than scrolling up or down. And I have 3 choices here. And I would select my to-do report. I also want to show you there's this forms filter icon where, again, this is going to identify the categories. And then within the categories, I can see the different reports. So I want to do a search for my to-do report. And I want this actual to-do report. There's the description that tells me what the report is for. And I can view the report. That's going to bring me to this screen because I have to tell Evergreen the parameters I want to see. What is it I want to see? These are all of my choices. So the forms, I'm just going to select all of them. Actually, I'm not going to select all of them because I'm afraid that the report would take forever to pull, and I don't want to do that. So I can do the person-centered plan. I can identify the workflow status. And I think I'm going to do completed and pending planning team meeting. I can narrow this down to a particular person. The organization is Evergreen. The organization options I would have are organizations I'm assigned to. If I'm assigned to only one organization, I'm only going to have one option. The location, again, I have to be assigned to it. I can identify dates in here, show the date due, yes, and then I can identify others. So I have to fill these in. The ones with the asterisks, I have to fill in. The others are optional. So I'm going to click preview. If I try to click print, I get a message. Evergreen wants me to preview this before I print it. And the reason for that is because once I see the report, I may find that I want a little more information, a little less information. So here is my to-do report based on the parameters I input. Now, up at the top, this arrow with a bar to it would take me to the very first page. If this was a multiple page report, if I was in the middle of it, it would take me to the very beginning. The left pointing arrow, again, like you've seen on so many other websites, it's just the previous page. It shows me what page I'm on, and of course, I can select a page if I want to target a particular page in a multi-page report. The the right pointing caret, that takes me to the next page. And then the triangle with the bar, that takes me to the last page of the report. If I need to, I can refresh the report. The zoom here, I can adjust as I would wish. I'm going to leave it as it is at 100%. And the find and next I can use to do a search. So here I have the search criteria that was input. And if I wanted to, I could go back and show parameters and I could make adjustments again. Well, I like my parameters. I'm going to hide these so I have more space here. And if I wanted to print this, I would be able to. I'm not going to because I'm not hooked up to a printer. I knew I would get that error before. But I am going to export this. So I click export and I have these different options. Again, I'm going to choose Excel. So I need to save my report. And again, because I'm me, I'm going to do it by date. And you save it under however you would wish. I'm going to come up here to my report. And the downloads, I clicked on that. And this is opening the report in an Excel. I don't know how familiar you are with Excel, so I may be showing you stuff you already know, but I want to make sure that you know how you can access the report so that you can manipulate it and identify different results. Because the data, if I tried to do a sort, it's not a real clean sort. See, I get this message. All merged cells need to be the same size. So basically, if I want to do anything besides review this report as it is, I meant to highlight that. I need to delete the title of the report as well as the criteria. So I right-clicked to get this menu, and I'm going to click delete. And now I just have the report results. And under the data tab, I can click filter. And the reason it wouldn't let me is because I've identified just a single cell. I need to highlight the whole thing. And when I clicked filter, that's when I got my little down arrows. And from here, I can click this. And again, I can sort from A to Z, Z to A. I can uncheck select all and just select and sort and view certain results. And actually, I think I'm going to go on person name. And there I see Paul's results. And if I want it back, I can go back to my person name column, do a select all. And it's there for me. So what I want to do now, we still have some things to do, so stay with us right now. Time to start talking about next steps. And this is really important, particularly as you're a supervisor. Practice, practice, practice in that sandbox. Make sure your staff members are practicing. Again, you've probably heard me say, please make sure everybody keeps information clean in the sandbox. I've had too many instances where, unfortunately, I have had to go in and clean something up because it wasn't professional. It was downright inappropriate. You're going to watch your emails, view the micro learnings, remind your staff to do the same. You're going to plan ahead. Tie up your loose ends in the system, finalize and finish anything that you can because you want to set it to complete by 5 o'clock on Friday, January 12th. And that's 5 p.m. because you're not going to be able to enter the system. And Leslie's going to clarify that in just a moment. There are Q&A sessions coming up in January, just as there are business process trainings. I encourage you to sign up for those business process trainings. As much as you think you might know everything there is to know, I have found when I've had the opportunity to attend something like that, someone else thought of something I would have never thought of, and it was so helpful to get that information. The Q&A sessions are going to be available. These I'm not going to say anything about these. I don't want to assume what they are. There's the FAQs and the recordings. Those are available on your project website. And Jack is on the ball, and in your chat, very top, she's added the FAQs link. There's also, you can email questions in the chat. That second item is the email. Now, the third item in the chat is the survey. Click on that survey, please. And the reason for that, we would like your feedback on this. We want to know what you liked, if there's something else you would have liked to have seen, if there's something else you would have liked us to do differently. And again, just please read the scale and make sure that your answer aligns with the scale. We find every once in a while somebody is obviously misread or just plain old not read the scale and selected things on the wrong side. So I want to turn things over to Leslie. Keep your ears open and keep completing the survey. So Leslie, I'd like to invite you to share your final thoughts.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, everybody, for attending this afternoon. There was lots of great questions in the Q&A. I think I was able to respond to all of them. I didn't need to take any back to business, with the exception of the very last question that just came in, which was a repeat from a previous session that I still need to follow up with them on. But again, really thank you for your participation. Just want to underscore a few things that Lisa said and provide a little bit of additional information. One is the importance of using the sandbox. I do recognize that some of you are still waiting on access to the sandbox, so I apologize for the delays there. We started working again this morning on getting those, resuming that effort and getting those out. So I am hopeful that we'll get all of them out by the end of the day tomorrow. But certainly if you haven't seen your access by the end of the day tomorrow, please reach out. We'll make sure that we get you some access. As supervisors, though, I was under the impression that you were included in the emails that went to your agencies for your case managers or care coordinators. So you should have been assigned a person record with that email that went out. You just don't have your supervisor packet yet. You only have the case manager or care coordinator packet. So we do intend to send you the supervisor packet. You will use a different login to when you want to play around as the supervisor role. But you can use the same assigned person record. You won't need a new person record assignment. You won't get a new person record assignment. You'll use that same person that you're currently using from participation in one of your case manager or care coordinator sessions and from the email that was sent out there. I do recognize, though, that there was at least one or two case management agencies that had indicated that they had not received that email. So I know Nancy was following up on that this morning. So hopefully, if you haven't seen those yet today, you will either later this afternoon or tomorrow. Also, just a reminder, again, I know you've heard it multiple times now, but the access that you have in the training environment, the sandbox training environment, is more than what you will have in production. That is, again, to allow you to navigate around, move forms through their workflow processes without having to have your case manager advance a form so that you can have your review of it or something along those lines. So just keep that in mind. But along those lines, it is nice because you can see some additional things that maybe upon go live you won't be able to see. So definitely check them out. You have the opportunity to go and run all the queries, run all the reports, and see what sort of content comes back for you in that environment. So it is a great resource for you. And you can refer back to the recordings, these training session recordings, if you need some additional guidance on how to run a query, run a report, move a form through the workflow. We are working to get all of the training sessions still posted to the website. Again, apologies for the delays there with the storm and the state closures. Things have not gotten posted as quickly as we had hoped, but I am hopeful that you'll see those by some of the ones from last week by tomorrow if they're not already up there today. And then as it relates to tying up your loose ends, yes, I'm sure you've all participated in multiple sessions already, but as a reminder, progress notes are going to be the ones that you want to focus on. You want to get those into a completed state before 5 p.m. on Friday, January 12th. That's because they will migrate in a closed state, so you won't be able to edit them once you get into Evergreen. Same thing for reportable events and death and mortality reports. If you have any out there that are in progress, you haven't submitted them, you're definitely going to want to get those finished up and submitted. Everything else will migrate in its in progress state, so you will be able to edit and finalize those in the Evergreen system. And of course, you can always email evergreen.dhhs@maine.gov. And definitely, as Lisa mentioned, keep your eye out for additional emails from us. We are going to be sending out a communication to agency leaders, and possibly you as supervisors might receive that communication regarding the post-deployment support plan and needing to identify some individuals within each of our organizations to support issue what's the word I'm looking for? Reporting, so that we're minimizing duplicate issues that are being reported so that we can more efficiently support you in the post deploy. And we're also going to be sending out an additional email in early January with your technical user guide, as well as hopefully some updated manuals like the person-centered plan manual, and or at least a link to where you can find that on our website. And then just reminding you of the deploy and all the things that you're going to want to be tying up before we go live on the 16th. I think that covers everything that I wanted to say today. Again, super thank you. I did see that there was one more question that came in through the Q&A while I was giving my final thoughts. Yeah, so Heidi, you're asking about when supervisors will get your email. I'm hopeful that you'll receive that by the end of the day tomorrow. But I know there was a little bit of a backlog there, so hang with us. If you don't see it by the end of the day tomorrow, I suspect that you'll receive it on Tuesday of next week. But I'm hopeful that everything will be able to get out by the end of the day tomorrow.
Okay. You covered things for both of us, Leslie. And I thank you, Leslie, for attending. More importantly, I thank the rest of you for being here. I hope you have a great rest of the week. And please enjoy your holidays.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you for being here. You're welcome. Bye.
Everybody.